Do you want to get your business in front of over 100,000 viewers every month? Advertise with 321 and enjoy the best value in local advertising while supporting free community live streams. Your message will be seen across live high school sports, morning shows, and local events, connecting you directly with engaged audiences, boosting your visibility, growing your brand, and helping us keep these broadcasts accessible to everyone for free. Partner with 321 today and watch your business thrive. Do you feel the power? The power of quotes? That's what we're talking about today on Mindset Mastery with Paulie G from Westerly, Paul Jancarella, the biggest banana in town. How are you, my friend?
Well, I love that opening. That was nice.
Hey,
you threw it at us.
It's like I'm a pro or something.
Yeah, like this isn't your first rodeo, right?
This isn't even my first show today.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine.
What's up, dude?
All right. I have just yesterday alone, I think 6 quotes that I wrote down, and they were pretty captivating for me. But sometimes when you have a great quote and you share it with someone, they're like, yeah, it's okay. But I'm gonna throw some things at you today and see where we can go with these things. The first quote that I wrote down yesterday, and generally each day I'll write down, as far as quotes are concerned, 2 to 3 on average. I had 6 yesterday. The first one was, when things get steep, you must keep your mind even.
When things get steep, you must keep your mind even.
Yeah. So what that's basically saying is, when things get out of control or things start to get a little bit emotional, whether it's a death, an injury, an accident, a divorce, something that happens, we tend to allow our emotions exceed our intellect or our mindset, and we must be conscious of keeping our mindset in control of our actions. Kind of like a neighbor of mine, when I was 10 years old, he was running after a ball I threw, and he ran into the corner of the light post, and his eye was gushing blood and everything. And I flipped out, running to his parents and everything. I was just absolutely out of control, and made things a lot worse than they could have been if I was calm. And I always took that as a lesson. So anytime now I come upon an accident or an injury or a incident with our 2 dogs that we had at the time, I tend to try to be a little bit more level-headed. And when you act calm and you try to stay relaxed, that's a response, whereas the reaction tends to throw things off. So what is your take, Ben, about keeping your mind even?
I wish I could. I wish I could. Even is a funny word, because I told you I woke up this morning, I felt a little bit of vertigo. I felt a little off today. And
that can throw you off for the rest of the day.
It can, and it has. Honestly, I felt a little off the whole day. So, it's one of those things where I think about it, and I do I think of balance as a pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you have to keep your mind even is really important, because you don't want to swing too far in either direction.
Correct.
And that makes a ton of sense. And it's so hard. It's so hard to not hyperfixate on something. It's so hard to not go too far in any given stretch.
Right. And
especially when you're facing some sort of turmoil.
Yeah, well, and it's not even turmoil. It's the fact that you got this vertigo, say.
Yeah.
And it's discomforting at best, and it's life-changing at worst. What we have to understand is we cannot allow the outside circumstances, even that are happening to us, dictate and control how we're thinking, feeling, and acting. So how do we offset that? And that's a great question. Is, okay, in the event something like this is happening, what am I controlling in my mind to overcome this outcome, and how can I go about it? And that can be troublesome, because the time for me,
A little bit.
yeah, well, we'll put it this way: the time for me when I was diagnosed with a mental illness, and I experienced severe clinical depression for the first time in my life, which I never thought anybody ever experienced, but it's a real thing. That's not the time to treat it, is when you're feeling that way. The time to treat depression is when you're not depressed. The time to treat vertigo is when you don't have vertigo, and we tend not to worry about it because we haven't experienced it, and that can be the challenging thing. But if it's at very least just an attitude adjustment, because I say adjustment because sometimes our feelings aren't our feelings. I want to be happy, but I don't feel happy. Well, you know what? I have to decide to be happy. And that decision sometimes can make things better.
You're checking your phone.
No,
you
I'm
got
not.
another quote. You got another
I
quote.
got another quote.
I know. I'm like,
all right. So
checking
this
his
one
phone during a thing.
This one I
Who are you,
have
me?
here. Right. This one, mercy. I'm a big mercy guy. I love mercy. God's merciful. Mercy is love reaching out to misery. And I was on the fence with that before I wrote it down. And I said, something though? I don't think everyone is in misery that is treated mercifully or that wants mercy. But maybe it's just another way of saying they're not at their best. And mercy is love. And I think people can be that way to animals,
Yeah.
more than they can be to humans. What's your take?
I said to we took our cat to the vet yesterday, and she has a hot spot on her leg, so we needed to put her in a cone for a couple days.
Oh yeah.
And I texted my best friend and I said, I've never seen a more depressed animal in my entire life.
Right.
And his response was, humans are animals, bro. And I was like, okay, well, chill.
Well, they are, right?
But it was, yeah. So, but that was me, expressing a mercy to animals that I was just like, oh my God, look at this thing. Like, she was so sad. And she's still like, I've never seen someone give up quicker than that cat when you put the thing on.
Yeah.
And then we had to take it off because we figured out she couldn't eat. We put it on and she was doing well. And then Jackie put some treats out for her and she couldn't eat the treats. And then she was trying to she figured out a way to scoop them over.
Oh my goodness.
To the wall. And then get them in, but then she couldn't get it up past the lip of it.
Yeah, right.
And then we were like, hold on, let's put her real food in front of her. And she's too short. So her neck is too short, right?
Yeah.
For her to be able to do that. And we were like, oh God, but we still need to put it on because otherwise this thing won't get better.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been doing long periods of it on and then short periods of it off so she can eat and stuff. And man, as soon as you put it on, the first time we thought she would fight, and now she just walks up.
Yeah,
she walks up to the couch. She puts her head out. Jackie puts it on, and then she just lays down and is the saddest little girl you've ever seen. But that being said, so much sympathy for her and less sympathy sometimes for other people. Not that I don't have sympathy for humans. I have tons of sympathy and empathy for humans, but just, when you see an animal suffering, you get it. And sometimes when you see a human suffering, you're like, I'm not feeling that right now.
Yeah, I relate it to this for why you said that is because that cat shows you affection. It's therapeutic.
Bold of you to assume.
It could maybe not the case, but it shows someone affection.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, because I never used to be an animal lover. I loved animals. Don't get me wrong. I'd go to homes and sell life insurance back in the 90s, and I'd love the dog and stuff, but nothing to really write home about that I would get a dog until I received a family dog. And it was amazing, what they do for you.
Hey, what do you mean received a family dog?
Oh, we went to the pound. We had to kill time after church one Sunday. So I went to the pound and my wife's like, you can't do this. I said, they're open. She said, yeah, but you can't go into the pound. I said, why not? There's a whole bunch of dogs in there, I'm sure. She said, yeah, but you're going to have to get one. I said, no, I won't. And I didn't have that feeling at all. But the kids saw this dog in there. They loved it. And, sure enough, it just came like the day before. It was still on quarantine. And that's Dugan. He was like a yellow lab golden shepherd mix. He was phenomenal. And sure enough, he became my dog because I walked him and played with him the most, and it was just absolutely amazing. Oh, I got this quote. I really loved it. I always say to people that are going through struggles, because we all go through struggles, we all have a cross to bear. Everyone's cross is different. We all have to endure some type of suffering at times. Are we hanging in there okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we all must take up a cross at times. However, we don't have to carry the cross. We can use it as a cane or a crutch. And how many of us look at our challenges in life and our shortcomings and our adversities? We do look at them as crosses, but we look at them as we have to bear the weight of them. Whereas sometimes that cross can bear our weight for our suffering. And that's a great analogy, is we can use sometimes our vertigo, our challenges and whatever we're going through in life as a crutch and not as something that's a burden. And that's important to know. Sometimes it can be comforting. Sometimes it may not be comforting, depending on the stage of where you are in grieving of whatever challenge. But sometimes when you look at that, you can look at a challenge as somewhat of a help as opposed to a hindrance. Any feedback on that?
What's next? No. Next quote.
Okay, so let's take a look. All right. I just got out of it here. Let's see. All right. Okay, this one right here. Learn to be thankful for what you have while you pursue all that you want. That's a Jim Rohn quote. Jim Rohn, as in R-O-H-N. He died at 79 years old in 2009, and he was a mentor to Tony Robbins and Darren Hardy and a number of people. And he just had a very intricate way about himself and very pithy quotes. And it's important to be thankful for what we have, but not just to stay there. You know what I mean? Like, God loves you just the way you are, but God loves us too much to keep us there. So be thankful for what you have, but also pursue all that you want as well. There is a cake and eat it too type scenario. And I grew up that you can't have both, and you can.
Yeah, you got to.
But you got to work at it.
You got to work at it. You have to, if you're not grateful for what you already have, then what is the point of having more?
Right. And I think a lot of people look at it as, okay, I want to get to the destination. And you get to the destination. It's good and it's nice, but then what? It's really the journey that we need to find joy in the journey, or we need to find pleasure in the pain. And again, that's hard for a guy that's going to be jumping on the treadmill for 20 minutes, killing himself, or a guy that's going to go to the dentist and getting root canal or something. But when we look at it that way, that where pleasure can come from pain, I'm not talking sadistic pleasure. I'm talking, good things can come from our sufferings. That's what it's all about.
I was talking to someone once who was a small micro influencer on social media in the category of grief. And she was like, I used to post something and it would get 10,000 likes and comments and all sorts of stuff. And now I post it and it's like 3,000. What the hell's going on? What's wrong? Like and it's like, why am I even doing this? And I'm like, you lost a loved one and you decided to help other people that lost loved ones. And you're telling me right now, do you mind if I swear?
No.
You're telling me right now, fuck those 3,000 people that cared. Fuck those 3,000 people
right.
that lost someone.
Great insight.
And your thing resonated with them, because where's the other 7,000 of them, right? And it's like, I literally said to her, and she was paying me money, so like it's a bold thing to say to somebody paying you money for this, but I was like, I don't know that you deserve the other 7,000
right.
if you don't care about. Imagine being in a room with 3,000 grieving people who appreciate your words and look at each and every one of them in the eye and go, yeah, but there's not more of you.
Yeah, I know. Right. And that's basically indirectly what was being said, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
we're all there. We all get there sometimes.
And it's not that she actually didn't care about those people. It's that she was focusing on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. If you're not taking the time to be grateful for what you have, right? If you say
I think that was a good example, Ben. I really do.
Thank you. So, like Kieran Culkin, for example, right? Famous actor, won an Oscar 2 nights ago.
Okay.
He said in his speech, he talked about wanting 2 more kids, wanting to have 4 kids. Yeah. And so this is not about Kieran Culkin. I'm not saying anything about Kieran Culkin. I'm not saying anything negative about Kieran Culkin, but he said that he wanted to have 4 kids. So imagine that you want to have 4 kids. Mm-hmm. You have 2, right? If you're only ever focused on the fact that you don't have more kids and that your family's not, et cetera, and you're being mean to your wife about it, and you're kind of ignoring the other 2 kids, and you're generally unhappy at home because life isn't where you want it to be, you're missing out on stuff with those other 2 kids. You're missing out with those. And again, I'm not saying anything about Kieran Culkin,
right?
Or
I understand your
in
point
general.
too. I think the audience does. Yeah, for sure. And we can get caught up in that, Ben. In the way things should be. Hey, I had knee surgery and they said 3 weeks I should be fine. I'm not fine. It's worse. You know what I mean? And then we get all caught up in that. And that mental state that we're in, that emotion, has an effect on our healing process as well. If we have an uplifting attitude mentally and emotionally, we can get a lot of things done more so than we can with a negative attitude.
There was a great bit by a now questionable comedian, so I will not name him, but there was a great bit of you ever been in a plane when the Wi-Fi goes out for a little while and people are pissed. People are pissed. Or like it was like, hey, by the way, just FYI, we have Wi-Fi. It was the first time there was ever Wi-Fi on a plane. Hey, by the way, everybody, we have Wi-Fi now on the plane. Take out your phones. You can use the Wi-Fi once we reach a certain altitude. You can use the Wi-Fi on your plane, right? And everybody cheered and was so excited. 2 hours into the flight, something happens. The Wi-Fi goes out for 5 minutes. Everybody's pissed. And it's like, you didn't know that this existed.
Right.
And now you're entitled.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. That's what we all do all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think just from the standpoint of my wife and myself, I'm on the way home from work. I don't know, 15 years ago, and I call her, I texted her, no response. We don't get the immediate response that we want. Where the heck are they? You know what I mean? Or we now have the 360 app. We can see where they are and they're not answering or whatever have you. That's that instant gratification sometimes can be the death of us. It really can. As opposed to, I almost don't remember what it was like not to have a cell phone. 1998, I had one, but I always kept it in my car. It was like on a clip thing in the car, and it spoke with the Bluetooth and everything like it does now. But I very rarely brought it out or whatever, because I could clip it out and put it in my back pocket. But what you're saying, Ben, it rings true to me and to everybody. I imagine the audience, that we get so accustomed to certain things, and we then become emotional in a negative way when they're taken away or when there's a problem in that respect, and I think that's important to note.
I think about, I stayed after school every day in middle school for something. Like not
discipline wise?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I was that way.
Middle school, high school, like the freshman year, I stayed after school for literally like everything, all the time.
Volunteering, you mean?
Yeah. I don't remember what it was for, honestly, at this point, but I don't remember. But I remember not taking the late bus home and having to wait for my dad to come pick me up. The late bus left at 3:30. So school ended at 3:30. My dad got out of work at 4, about 15 minutes away from Cherahoe. So I had about 45 minutes generally, sometimes more, sometimes a little less, sometimes quite a bit more if, whatever happened.
Yeah.
And I would just sit outside of Cherahoe Middle School, just sit by myself and think. I don't think I could go 45 minutes just sitting somewhere with nothing, without a phone.
Yeah.
I am so addicted to this thing.
Yeah.
And it probably causes 75% of the problems in my life that I'm addicted to it.
Walk into any office, medical office, there's a waiting room, a car dealership.
Remember magazines?
Yeah, I know. I don't have to worry about that now. Even at the Y, exercising used to have a rack of magazines that you could get. Now it's all you plug into your phone. They got TV on the screens. But I just was looking at the fact that I had to go to a car dealership, actually a Cardinal Honda, and I say that not in a negative way to Valenti Toyota, who takes great care of me, because I've gotten all 8 of my cars there. This one car we got at Cardinal Honda, and actually as a referral, I think, from Valenti. But anyway, I walked in to do some servicing to the vehicle, and there was a huge waiting room, probably about 20 seats, all taken up, and almost all but 2 were on a cell phone, and it's just that's the way it was. And I would have been the same way if I wasn't observing the fact. So I made it a conscious point not to. So I walked around the dealership and things, and I actually struck up a conversation with someone. But you're again, you make a good point, because if I had to sit somewhere for 45 minutes, that would be the death of me. God forbid I should pray or should think about something.
I was in a meeting last week, and this is so embarrassing. I was in a meeting last week, and I got into the meeting, and I realized I was running late, and I realized walking up the steps that I didn't have my phone with me. Paul, I didn't make it through that entire meeting. I would have. I was fine. And then right around the hour mark of the meeting, I started to have a little bit of a panic attack. And I don't know for sure if I was able to distract myself by looking at my phone a couple times. I don't know if that would have reset me, but I had a little bit of a panic attack and had to leave the meeting early.
To expand on what you just said,
sitting there not being able to speak for 45 minutes at a time, but I was actively engaged. I was in a room with people.
Yeah, no,
I can do that. I can do that.
Well, I think it's just the
You'd think.
fact of having that there. It's like almost, it's like a binky.
I was just gonna say it's like a safety blanket.
It's like a pacifier. But I'm trying to think of that situation. If that were me, I wouldn't have made it up the stairs. I would have turned right around and gotten my phone. I would have, you know what I mean? I probably, and I tend to be punctual for meetings. I probably would have forced myself being late to get my phone, which again, that it's an addiction. It's like anything else, you know. No one plans to be an alcoholic or a drug addict or a workaholic or a negative-aholic.
I planned to be a drug addict. I was just terrible at it.
There you go.
That's not true. That is not true. I'm so sorry.
You know, but seriously, you know, I mean, that's the thing. No one plans to do something that happens to them in a negative way, but it's what we're planting, and it's the seeds that we're planting in that respect. Let me see what we got for our next quote here.
That being said, let me pop a pillar right now.
Speaking of which, the only limits in our life are those that we impose on ourselves. Now, I used to be the naysayer there, and I would say, no, that's not true. I want to be a professional basketball player in 1985, and I'm the smallest kid in my class, so those were the limits. But then I watched Spud Webb, you know, and Muggsy Bogues.
God, I loved Muggsy Bogues.
You know, all these guys. And Muggsy Bogues actually played a D-League game with Manute Bol on the same team, the Rhode Island Seagulls, I think.
Oh, wow.
And it was Manute Bol and Muggsy Bogues here. It was unbelievable, the difference in height. And it's what you put your mind to, you know, in the work. You know what I mean? I want to be a millionaire, right? Well, am I putting the work in to be a millionaire? Am I thinking like a millionaire or am I thinking like my old self that are getting the results that I'm presently getting now? And that's where most of us get in trouble. We live a year over and over again for the next 60 to 70 years. And we wonder why we don't get different results. It's because of our programming.
Yeah.
It's our mental programming. We just need to change the programming. You know, if you don't like reaping carrots, don't plant carrots. Plant cucumbers or plant something else. And people tend not to look at it that way. But you reap what you sow. Are you sowing? Are you planting? Well, no, I couldn't because of this, and this, and it was a harsh spring or whatever have you. Well, that's the point. We get what we reap what we sow. What say you, Ben?
I say this has been a great show. What else? What other quotes you got?
I will say this about this show. I've been a bit subdued.
Well, yeah, I've noticed.
You know what I mean? I'm kind of energetic, you know, jumping out of my chair and stuff. I don't know what's transpired.
Listen, I don't know if I could have handled that energy today.
Right.
So
right, no, true. So maybe that's a good thing. All right, we're going to end on this. Being an overachiever is good. That's good. You don't need to be an overachiever. You know, wanting more.
Yep.
But it's not as good as being an overbeliever. You know, especially in yourself and others. You know, we tend to think others can do something, but we can't.
Right.
You know what I mean? But being a believer is a believer not only in God, but a believer in yourself and your abilities and your potential, because anything that we desire, we can truly have.
Yeah.
We can never, ever desire something, ever, that we can't have.
Right.
I didn't really believe that until a few years ago. I said, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? I thought that was crazy, but it's true. If you believe in what you want and you get emotional with it, you can then achieve that, whether it's health, wealth, relationships, vocation, anything in between. It's amazing. It's the belief is almost half the battle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So I want to end on this. Today, the party is over.
Oh no.
Party ends
Oh yeah.
today.
Oh yeah.
Fat Tuesday.
You going to the pancake supper at Christchurch tonight? Do you know about it? You got to eat some pancakes tonight.
Yeah, I know. My wife asked me why I wasn't having pancakes this morning, but I did have 2 breakfasts this morning. I had I had a 9:30 appointment this morning before our 11 o'clock, and I thought it was just going to be like, coffee or tea or something.
Yeah.
Let's go to breakfast. So I could have gone and not eaten breakfast, but I said it's Fat Tuesday, so I'm going to have another breakfast.
There you go. Where'd you go?
The eatery.
Nice. Love the eatery.
Yeah. Are they part of the we're going to have to get them.
No, they're not, but we still love them.
Brian Holdridge is a longtime friend of mine. I grew up with Brian Holdridge and his lovely wife, Shannon. They do a great job there at the eatery. As a matter of fact, I'll be there tomorrow because I have an appointment after church. So, we'll have to shake them down as far as showing the exposure.
Absolutely.
Especially if advertising on Mindset Mastery with Paulie G from Westerly.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a line coming out the door.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So.
They're going to name their banana pancakes after you.
Yes.
Why was this episode not called Banana Pancakes?
Exactly.
Oh,
I love it. Ben, as always, thank you for giving me the venue and the platform.
Thank you. We'll see you guys real soon. And enjoy Mardi Gras today.
Are we still on the air?
No. Yeah, we are.
We are?
Yeah. Enjoy Mardi Gras.
Yes.
Fat Tuesday.
As long as I'm not in Louisiana, because I went there in June. I couldn't imagine it. Couldn't imagine it during Mardi Gras.
All right. Bye for now, everybody.
All right, everybody.
Banana pancake. Experience local excellence with Roofright Roofing in Charlestown, Rhode Island. With over 40 years of unmatched expertise, Roofright specializes in architectural shingles and holds the prestigious title of GAF Master Elite Installers. Known for their commitment to the community and support for local initiatives, Roofright is your trusted partner for all of your home's roofing needs. Call today for a free estimate at 401-212-4140.
Hi, this is Dan from Lathrop Insurance. In this challenging insurance environment, Lathrop Insurance can be your beacon in the storm to help you find the coverage you need at the right price. Now, more than ever, you need a partner in the insurance industry that can work with multiple carriers to make sure you have the right coverage at the right price. Lathrop Insurance carries home, auto, and business insurance and can be reached at 401-596-2525. We've been supporting the local community since 1939, and we look forward to working with you.
What's going on, everybody? It's Patrick down here at the Wireless Zone at Dunn's Corners at 224 Post Road, and everybody down here is getting the brand new iPhone 16. We have it here in stock. The best part is right now, if you trade in your old phone, you get it for free. We got deals all weekend, awesome savings. Come on down and see us, 224 Post Road, Dunn's Corners, Verizon Wireless Zone. We'll see you soon.
D&V Mechanical specializes in the installation, maintenance, and servicing of Mitsubishi ductless mini-split heat pump systems. We are certified by Mitsubishi as Diamond Elite Contractors and factory trained and up to date on the proper procedure of the installation and service of Mitsubishi ductless heating and air conditioning ductless heat pumps. We assist with the paperwork to reduce much of the stress-related documentation required to get the state rebates and federal tax incentives. We are not a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-nothing company. We are masters of ductless heat pumps. It's what we do, and it's what we know.